Yo guys, I'm back with another vid. Just gonna be breaking down another synth, dark synth sample. I feel like this is a good one to break down because I started off with quite a simple phrase. That was the foundation of the sample and I just built on from it. It goes to show that you can make some crazy stuff with like some simple foundations. So I started off with this sound from the app. It's just the accent. This is the accent I started with. Yeah, so as you can hear, there's two chops just to create some variation. For effects, I only added Perc Loop just kind of the lows and the highs. The next sound I used was from memory mode. There's a synth I really love to use, and I ran this through multiple like presets on Portal, but this is the initial melody I created. So yeah, as you can hear, it doesn't really sound too good right now, but by stretching it and running it through multiple presets on Portal and, you know, recording it on Edison, I was able to come up with this texture. After I did that, I didn't add any effects to it. The next sound I used was this vocal loop. I didn't really like some of the notes in the vocal, so I ran it through Melodyne and I also transposed it to fit my progression. So yeah, all I did here was change some of the notes of it, and when I did that, I made it sound like this. Yeah, just by doing that, I feel like that improved it a lot more for this particular sample. And yeah, that's just a quick tip. If you want to change certain things in the vocal, run it through Melodyne. Is a very useful VST for modifying your, not just your vocals, well, vocals are instruments, but all your instruments. I'll run through that in further detail in another video, but yeah, I also added these effects to it. So I added a soothe just to get rid of some harsh sounds that I was detecting. Obviously my CLA2A, a flanges, a Valhalla vintage verb, and I cut off some of the highs and the lows. Right, I don't even know what happened to my eye. The next sound I used was a texture from Hades, and this is what it sounded like. So yeah, I just looped that, pitched it down by 12 semitones, and I added these effects, CLA2A, the reverb, and I cut off some of the lows and the highs. The next sound I used was this lead from Zebra 2. I really like this VST. It's very straightforward and simple, very good synthesizer, and there's what I played. The effects I used on this was Portal just to give it some texture. I used the flanger just on the default preset, CLA2A, and I cut off some of the highs and the lows with this curve. I then ran that through Edison, just recording it. Then I reduced some of the frequencies with this curve. Then I stretched and chopped it up and it sounded like this. I like to do this quite a lot where I stretch out like synth samples. It kind of gives it a more like chaotic vibe and like a bit more off-grid because it's being stretched. Yeah, I play around with it quite a lot. For the bass, I used Modo bass, of course. This is, if you don't know by now, this is my go-to bass. I don't think it's changing anytime soon, but this is literally all I need, unless if it's synth basses, or I use other ones, but this is my go-to for sure. So the first thing I did is that I actually played this on a higher octave than I normally would have. I normally would have played this in the octave below this, but instead I pitched it down with a sound shifter. This just made it sound a bit more muffled. Then I added a thermal and I EQ'd quite a lot of the highs and the mids, and then it sounded like this. Yeah, for this bass, I wasn't fussed about making it sound realistic, of course. You see, as you can see, I didn't even adjust the velocities or anything or vary the note lengths. I just wanted it to be very consistent and just pretty much doing the same thing every time. I then decided that this sample needed some like rhythm, so then I went in with this Perc Loop. Here's what it sounded like before effects. Here's what it sounds like with effects. So for the effects I added, of course I added a delay. I used the hi-fi. I just wanted it to have more rhythm, a bit more notes, a bit more, you know, just a bit more in it. So I added a half delay on it. Then I added a flanger just to give it a weird type of DNA, just alter it a bit more, make it a bit more interesting. And then of course I cut off some of the lows. Oh, and I forgot to mention I already pitched all of this down by 2 on the sound shifter. I added the gain, of course, just to make it louder. I felt it was pretty quiet, and there's what the whole sample sounds like altogether. Alright guys, that wraps this video up. I hope you learned something new. I hope you have some, you know, new insight that you can add to your own work, because that's how I personally learned, by watching other people and just taking little skills and little tricks out of their book and adding it to my own. And yeah, if you like this video, please, you know, leave a like, leave a comment, share it with people, and yeah, more vids on the way. See you guys later.